Thomas, Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest. It's Sells in goal. A back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangari are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal. A back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest. It's Sells in goal. A back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangari are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal. A back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest. It's Sells in goal. A back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangari are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal. A back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest. It's Sells in goal. A back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangari are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal. A back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest. It's Sells in goal. A back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangari are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal. A back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest. It's Sells in goal. A back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangari are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal. A back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo makes just one change to the side held to a draw by Crystal Palace last time out. Murillo misses out on the matchday squad with a hamstring injury, with fellow Brazilian defender Morato coming in to replace him. Fox's boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy, meanwhile, has opted to stick with the same starting 11 that ran out 2-0 winners over Southampton last weekend, with goalscorers Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew both leading the line. So the lineups in full for Forest: it's Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Morato, Milenkovic and Aina. Anderson and Sangare are the holding midfielders, with Alanga, Gibbs-White and Dominguez supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stalajic in goal, a back four of Justin, Cody, Fass and Thomas. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with McAteer, Ayew and El Khanous supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. Not long until kick-off for this.
Well, we'll leave that there because we're now underway for this afternoon kickoff on Sunday in between Nottingham Forest and Leicester. Immediately it's the host trying to break forward and get an early chance with Nico Williams on the edge of the area. Nico Williams getting into the box, his cross blocked well by James Justin, and immediately going out for a corner kick in just 20 seconds. It's myself, Will Maxwell and Luke Ashurst taking you through this one, and we'll run you through the team lineups in just a moment as we wait for this corner kick to be taken on this right hand side. Plenty of height and physicality in the box to aim for Nottingham Forest. Of course, only made one change from their draw against Crystal Palace last time out, that being enforced. Murillo out with a hamstring injury. He is replaced by fellow South American defender Morato in the heart of the defence. As a beach ball's been thrown onto the field. We don't want a repeat of the famous goal from Darren Bent from Sunderland against Liverpool all those years ago, although it would have been very impressive for that to have an effect, considering it was almost directly by the corner flag. We wait for Tony Harrington to blow the whistle. He's not happy with some pushing and shoving. He's going to call a few players over here to bark a few more instructions, which gives me the opportunity to run you through the lineups if you did miss them in the earlier preamble. So for Forest, it's Sells in goal, a back four of Aina, Milenkovic, Morato and Williams. Sangare and Anderson are the holding midfielders, with Dominguez, Gibbs-White and Alanga supporting Chris Wood up top. I'll give you Leicester's lineup in just a moment as we are ready to get underway for this corner kick. The ball whipped into the area. Stalajic does well to get a hand to it. Wasn't too convincing of a punch though. It will fall to Nico Williams on the right-hand side. He's held up by Jordan Ayew. Ball into the box, flicked up and away by Wout Faes. Knocked down looking for Gibbs White, and that's eventually turned away by a Leicester man, and Forest will have to restart things from the halfway line. So for Leicester, they are unchanged from their 2-0 victory over Southampton last time out. It's Stalajic in goal, Thomas, Faes, Cody and Justin in the back four. Skip and Ndidi, the holding midfielders, with El Khanous, Ayew and McAteer supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. As Elanga goes back towards Dominguez, back towards Anthony Elanga, dangerous ball in, falls to Chris Wood. It was a bit of an awkward effort. I don't think he expected the ball to fall to him as it did, and his strike goes over the crossbar. Gives me the opportunity to bring you in, my co-commentator this afternoon, Luke Ashurst. Luke, really bright start from Forest.
Well, yeah, I think we're seeing what we expected. Forest are firm favourites going into this game, aren't they? So Leicester are going to do what they've tried to do the entire season, and that's just throw bodies behind the ball and hope for the best. But Forest are desperate to get that early goal. So I think these early periods of play are going to be a case of Forest just throwing everything at it. We might get to the 20th minute and Forest then decide, okay, actually no, we're maybe going to slow things down just a little bit and look to try and, just get a bit of energy back, try and make sure that we can go for the full 90 minutes. But it's been a great start to the game, as that's really poor from Nico Dominguez to give the ball away. He's saying shoulder to shoulder, don't stick your leg out to trip the player out then in the process. I do find it quite interesting that he's starting again this afternoon, but obviously Callum Hudson-Odoi is out injured. I'd have maybe expected Jota Silva to start, but I do like Nicolas Dominguez, maybe just not quite in that wide position, shall we say.
Yes, they've got a good amount of depth in the attacking midfield areas of the field for Nottingham Forest. Dominguez has been given the nod with the absence of their first choice winger in Callum Hudson-Odoi. Of course, Jota Silva, a fantastic option to bring from the bench. In regards to the other options for both sides on the substitute bench this afternoon, for Forest, it's the backup keeper of Carlos Miguel. You're looking at Abbott, Awoniyi, Bolly, Danilo, Jota Silva, Sosa, Toffolo and Yates. Then for Leicester, it's the backup keeper of Everson. There's Buonanotte, Koulibaly, Daka, Evans, Christensen, Munga, Okoli and Soumare. As it's Hudson-Odoi, sorry, Elanga that puts the ball in. Dangerous cross, and it's Wood once again at the far post. Such a dangerous player in the air, and he's essentially unmarked to the far post, and he'll be annoyed that he's put the ball over.
Yeah, he will be, and I think he should be as well. He should do better, should the former Newcastle man, of course, he used to play for Leicester as well. I think he should do better. I really do. I'll be honest. He's scored harder chances than that this season. I think he gets it just that little bit wrong, and that's a couple of chances now he's had, but it's his positive signs because he struggled a little bit over the recent weeks, and I don't think that's been entirely his fault. I think it's been Forest struggling to get the ball to him. Well, that's not been the case so far this afternoon, which is good signs for Nottingham Forest.
He's having a bit of a dry spell in front of goal. That's 3 games without a goal in all competitions. His last strike was away from home in a 2-1 victory over Tottenham. He'd have to go quite some distance, though, for his last goal at the City Ground. That was his hat-trick and the 7-0 thumping of Brighton at the beginning of February. That shows how long it's been since he's managed to grab a goal at home. Of course, he's having an unbelievable campaign. 19 goals and 3 assists in the league this season. Comfortably his best ever return in the top flight. In fact, the only other time actually he has scored more goals in a league season was back when he was at Leeds United in the Championship of 2016-17, when he scored 27 in 44. We've got a goal kick for Nottingham Forest, 5.5 minutes into this game. You're listening to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Leicester 0. It's the goalkeeper Matt Sells in possession as he lays it towards the left-hand side for Morato. We'll keep you up to date with everything that goes on this game, as well as the goals as they go in the other 2:15 kickoffs, I should say, in the Premier League between Manchester United against West Ham and Tottenham against Crystal Palace. Both those games remain goalless alongside ours as Ola Aina managed to flick it in towards Ibrahim Sangare. It's going to be Gibbs White that finds Elliot Anderson under pressure from Oliver Skip. Eventually lays it back towards Milenkovic with a little bit of space to drive into. Of course, Forest firmly in the mix for a Champions League spot and a Europa League spot as well. They currently find themselves in 7th place going into this fixture. Should they go on to win this game, they would jump up to 5th on 64 points, and they would be above Chelsea, who of course lost the early kickoff today 2-0 at Newcastle United, who in turn have jumped up to 3rd, 1 point behind second placed Arsenal, heading into the final 2 games of the campaign. They've had a pretty poor run of form in the last few weeks. 3 losses from their last 4 Premier League matches, and well, it's a really, really big ask now for Forest that they've got to start winning some games if they are going to get a chance of Champions League football, Luke.
Yeah, they do, but they've got the best run-in of any of the teams looking to do so, because obviously they play Leicester today, who are already relegated. Then they've got West Ham, who've got nothing to play for, before playing Chelsea on the final day at home. So they've got a really good opportunity, I feel, still to qualify in the top 5. Ball into the box of poor one, easily gathered by Stolarchi. But we had a conversation about this earlier in the office, didn't we? Where I always felt that Forest were similar to Liverpool in this sense, where they were doing better than expectations at the start of the season. It was a case of, okay, use this momentum, take advantage of the momentum, and ride that wave for as long as possible. They've kind of fallen off the wave a little bit, and it's now about how quickly can you get back on the surfboard and catch the next wave. And unfortunately, there's not very many games left to go, and they fell off the wave right as the likes of Villa and Chelsea and City and Newcastle were starting to get back on their waves, and that's been the issue for Nuno's men in the last month or so.
If you're wondering, there was 6 times that Luke mentioned the word waves in that conversation. He will be covering the next Surf Championships, I am sure. As Ola Aina has possession on this right-hand side, going back towards Nikola Milenkovic, finding the supporting cast of Elliot Anderson. Now with Morato on the left-hand side, lovely skill to get away from 1-2 Leicester players and holds on to it, finds Gibbs White, who just about held off El Khanous, but then lost it when the ball squirmed away from his feet. Ball over the top. Here's a big opportunity here for Leicester as McAteer gets it. He'll try and lift it into the box, looking for the main man, Jamie Vardy. He's driven wide. He'll keep the ball in play and try and flick it back towards Skip, who loses out to Gibbs White, who's done really well to track back and win possession for his side. They haven't been able to get too far forward over the course of these opening exchanges, Leicester, and well, that was a really good opportunity. It needed a better ball from McAteer.
It did. One defence I'd give to the youngster is it is bouncing as he goes to cross that ball in, so it's harder to control. But I think then if you notice that the ball's bouncing, you don't cross it in early. You wait till you have it under control before firing it into the box. So it's ifs and buts, isn't it, at this stage already in this game? But it's good to see the Leicester are going to give it a go. They're going to try and attack with pace, so that's what you get, isn't it, when you've got McAteer and El Khanous either side of Jamie Vardy. And when you've got Ndidi and Skip sitting behind you, you've got the licence to bomb forward. So I do like the way that they've set up so far in this game. It'll just be interesting to see whether they can carry it on and whether they can soak up the pressure that's inevitably going to come from Nottingham Forest.
Sangare finds Anderson. That's a really poor pass by the former Newcastle United man, putting it straight out of play for a throw-in for the visitors on the halfway line. We do have our first goal of the 2:15 kickoffs in the Premier League, and it's Crystal Palace, the FA Cup finalists, Crystal Palace, that have taken the lead away from home against Tottenham Hotspur. Ismaila Sarr getting the goal there for the Eagles. So despite their exploits in the Europa League, getting themselves to the final in Bilbao against Manchester United, Tottenham's woes in the Premier League still continue, which means they remain in a very dangerous position and could drop to 17th in the table. Of course, they are safe from relegation, but with the bottom 3 already confirmed, they would, well, finishing 17th would basically confirm them as the worst Premier League side in the division, and they'll have to require quite a major upturn in fortunes next season should Ange Postecoglou remain at the helm for him to really change the tide of his tenure. As Ayew is bundled over by Anderson, Tony Harrington gives a free kick for the Foxes. That's about 35-40 yards out. Not really a shooting position, but definitely an area to put the ball into the box, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would say probably for Leicester is, unfortunately for them, normally when you're an underdog going into a game, set piece is normally something that you can maybe rely on. I think Leicester are going to struggle with that today. I mean, if you look at the players that Forest have got on the field, Morato, Milenkovic, Sangare, Anderson, Wood, Dominguez, all big physical presence. For Leicester, you're looking at Fast, Cody, and Ndidi, and Vardy and Ayew will put themselves about, but the height advantage is very much there with Nottingham Forest.
Ball into the box towards the far post, headed back in by Cody, looking for Ayew, turned away by Anderson, picked up by Justin, who flicks that all the way back for Oliver Skip. It'll be picked up again by Justin. Looks like that goal for Crystal Palace has been ruled out by VAR as McAteer flicks it into the area. Turned away by Chris Wood, who remains back in a defensive position. Dominguez, back heel for Anderson. We'll lay it towards Nico Williams, and Sangare threads it in towards Gibbs-White. Nice turning it away from Skip, but turns straight into El Canus, who plays a back heel towards Jamie Vardy. Leicester growing into this game and getting a bit more dominance. Vardy trying to float it in towards a far post, but I'm not sure who he's aiming for. It's nowhere near McAteer nor Jordan Ayew. Easily picked up by Nico Williams. And now the hosts can try and drive forward. They need much more of the possession. They need to be better with the ball as well, do Nuno Espirito Santo's men. Because at the moment, despite the vast gulf in points difference and place difference in the league, Leicester are really holding their own in the opening 12 minutes.
Yeah, they are. The problem is, though, for Leicester is they've held their own in the opening 12 minutes of a number of games this season. It's been after those 12 minutes where things have gone horribly wrong. I mean, it came up on our screens, didn't it, earlier in the first game, that they dropped the second least amount of points from winning positions this season, have Leicester. They've only dropped 8 points from winning positions this season. The problem is they've never been winning, and that's why they've only dropped 8 points. That's the issue. It's all well and good starting the opening 12 games well, but you can't capitulate after that. You have to keep it going. You have to maintain some sort of pressure, and they haven't been able to do that at all this season. So that, I think that's the difficulty, isn't it? I think Forest will get better as this game goes on, and I hope for Leicester's sake that they don't get too much worse.
Well, here's Conor Cody in possession for the Foxes. He tries to thread the ball in towards Vardy, does well to hold off Milenkovic. Ball over the top from Ndidi. Will search for a man in blue. Not entirely sure who it was he was aiming for. Can only assume it was El Canus, but either way, it's completely overhit and goes out of play for a throw-in for Nottingham Forest on this near left-hand side. Not too much to shout about in these opening 13 minutes. Remains goalless between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. Nuno Espirito Santo's men have won 9 of their 17 home matches this season. So off-tube pictures begin to focus in on the Leicester boss, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Many questions being asked of him whether or not he will stay in the job next season. Major doubts that he will continue as Fox's boss. It hasn't been a happy takeover for the Manchester United legend. As that McAteer flicks it in, and it will hit Milenkovic and go out of play for a throw-in for Leicester City, on this near left-hand side. It will be Thomas that comes over to take. I think he'll try and go for a long throw into the area. Ayew is probably going to be the first target to try and flick this on at the near post, but Val Fast is getting into the area, as is Ndidi. Vardy and Cody are there as well. Needs to be a good delivery here, though, from the number 33 of Leicester City. Eventually pump this into the box. It's not a bad delivery. It's turned away at source though by Olaraina. Back towards Thomas. Down the line for Ayew, who stands up Aina. Back towards El Canus. Gets it out of his feet, spreading it over towards the right hand side in James Justin, who in turn finds support in McAteer. Plays a 1-2 with Ndidi. He digs out a cross on a great delivery. Turned away by Morato. Out for another throw in for Leicester City, but they're keeping Forest penned inside their own defensive third at the moment.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they need to do. Keep them down the other end of the pitch. Don't allow them to come forward. The problem is we know how dangerous Forest can be on the counter-attack. They've got to make sure that they're leaving bodies back. I just think if one of these long throw-ins goes badly, which it has more than the potential of doing, they are in big trouble at Leicester, because they're sending both centre-halves forward. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of these throws from Luke Thomas, because there's not enough pace on them. It'll fall to El Canus. Oh, what a save! Sells it, it's headed in! Vardy with the goal! And there's Cody. Has the flag gone up? I don't know if it has or not. I don't think it has, and Cody will go off celebrating. Well, that's caught everybody off guard. I thought that was going to be easily dealt with by Forest. El Canus comes in with the strike. The Forest found themselves down because Cody's there. I thought it was Vardy because it's a predatory finish, but actually there was Conor Cody running in. Big questions to be asked to the offside, but that's very much caught us off guard.
That's a fantastic goal for Leicester City, and it's thoroughly deserved over the opening 15-16 minutes or so. Long throw not dealt with. It forced El Canus, who catches his effort sweetly. Cody's clearly onside. Just no one picks him up, and he's right place at the right time just to plant his header into the back of the net. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Leicester City 1, and from the balance of play over the opening 16 minutes, you cannot say it's not deserved for the visitors.
No, you certainly can't. They've been really positive. Initially I thought, oh, Matt Sells has pushed that into a dangerous area. The reason why he does is because Chris Wood gets a deflection on it, and it catches Sells off guard. He can't adjust himself in time. Why are we having a VAR check for this? Surely this should have been ruled pretty quickly as onside. He's very much onside, I thought, Connor Cody, unless something else has happened in the build-up that they're checking. We're still yet to get restarted, but I think questions are going to be asked of Elliot Anderson there. He completely loses Connor Cody. Sells does everything he can to keep that initial strike out of the goal because of the deflection. Then you've got the issue of Anderson letting his man go. Forest, I have to say, look absolutely shell-shocked. I'd be very, very concerned if I was them. Nuno looks not furious, but just completely baffled. And yeah, Tony Harrington is going to wave this play on. He's going to say that we're all good to go. I can't believe what we're seeing, though, to be honest with you. Credit to Leicester. Fair play to them. They've started brilliantly.
Yeah, they've started well, and well, it's not a good sign for Nottingham Forest. They've lost each of their last 3 at the City Ground in all competitions. Each one of those was to 0. The last time that 2 teams scored at the City Ground in all competitions was in the FA Cup against Ipswich. As they've got an opportunity here, as Jamie Vardy holds on to the ball, he'll find Oliver Skipp. He in turn will lay that back in, looking for El Canus, who just stumbles at the last, and Aina will look to lay it in towards Gibbs White, and now they try and maraud forward. Chris Wood trying to get into good position, really poor pass though by the number 10, getting away from Nottingham Forest, and that'll be picked up by Jakub Salasik. History is not on the side at the moment of Nottingham Forest with form. They have not, it's so rare for them to concede at home and then go on to win, and the fact that they haven't scored at the City Ground in their last 3, and prior to that they hadn't scored more than once in normal time since that 7-0 win against Brighton, it's a very tall order now to overturn this.
Yeah, it is, and we already spoke about Leicester's record of not losing points from winning positions. I don't really know what there is for us to say at this point, Will. It has to be said. I mean, they've looked so poor over recent weeks. I mean, I did their game against Tottenham, and don't get me wrong, they deserved to win that game, and yes, they were the better team in that game, but they allowed Tottenham back into it so easily. Yeah, I do worry for them a little bit. I think they've been great this season, and on the face of things, they do deserve to qualify for the Champions League. I'll break off because Alanga's coming forward. Alanga's cross into the box is overhit, but it will fall to Nico Williams on the opposite wing. He lays it in towards Anderson, a little bit of space. Gibbs White might fancy his chances, does, plenty of space and time, but gets right underneath it and sends it over. And that's been a real indictment of Gibbs White's opening 19-20 minutes or so. His end product has not been there. No, I don't really know why he takes a shot on, to be honest, because he's clearly not in a position to hit that strike. He's always leaning back, he's always slightly off balance, and it was really central as well. His first touch doesn't get the ball out of his feet either. It's a mess all round from Morgan Gibbs White. But going back to my previous point, I think they do deserve to qualify for the Champions League, Nottingham Forest, in the grand scheme of things, given how good they've been over the course of the season. But at the minute, they're proving people right. I think a lot of people said they will drop off at some point. There's no way they can maintain this over the course of the season. And yes, this drop off has come an awful lot later than we expected. It has come, and it's arguably come at the worst time because teams around them are picking up points. They've gone behind 10 games this season before this afternoon of Nottingham Forest. They've won 1, they've drawn 1, and they've lost 8. That is damning. That is very damning for this Nottingham Forest side. They need to change that record today. They really do.
Well, Aina comes forward. He gets a cross blocked by Skipp. It falls back to the Nigerian. He then digs out across well, and we turned away by Wout Faes and goes out of play for a throw-in for Nottingham Forest on this near right-hand side. It'll be Ibrahima Sangare. Will he take that? No, he's actually going to let that go for Ola Aina to come over instead. The former Fulham man looks up and takes a throw-in, finding Gibbs White back towards Ola Aina. Needs a little bit of movement, has to turn towards Nikola Milenkovic. Little 1-2 between him and Morato. Now with Aina once again, down the line for Gibbs White, inwards for Sangare. This is better football from Forest. Sangare pokes it in towards Gibbs White. Gibbs White towards Dominguez. His first touch wasn't bad, but just squirmed away from him, and the goal scorer Connor Cody came over to ensure that he managed to shepherd Dominguez away, and it will be a throw-in for Forest right on this near right-hand side.
Yeah, it's really good play from Dominguez. Good play from Nottingham Forest all round, actually, to be fair to them. I think it's worth noting they did create those 2 decent opportunities for Chris Wood in the opening few minutes or so. They then all of a sudden just allowed Leicester to come forward on a couple of occasions. That gave confidence to the Foxes that they were going to be able to cause issues for the home side. Yeah, I do think they can get themselves back into it. I know we keep saying the history is against them. The form when going behind the season has been poor. They've not been great at home of recent weeks. I totally understand that. But this is not taking into account how bad Leicester are. No disrespect to the Foxes. They've been so poor this season. And they have given things up very easily this season as well. So I do think there is still hope for Nottingham Forest, because they're more than capable of getting themselves back into this game.
They've definitely got the quality to do so. They've shown that over the course of this season. There's probably a lot of tired legs. They've had to play a lot of football. Of course, they went very deep into the FA Cup, eventually going out at the semi-final stage to Manchester City. They're probably getting close to being on the beach, but they need to keep some form of concentration and give everything they can right until the very last to try and get as good a European football as possible. Of course, European football is by no means a certainty for them, but Champions League would be such a massive coup for a side that have obviously won 2 European Cups in their history, but it's been so long since they last were at the top table of European football, as Sangare judged to have fouled Jordan Ayew there. So it'll be a free kick for Leicester on the halfway line. Well past the halfway stage though of this first half. It is Nottingham Forest 0, Leicester City 1, and taking us through to half time will be Luke Ashurst.
Cheers, Will. Ball back at the feet of Conor Cody, of course the man who gave Leicester the lead in this one. It's a really great run from him. It's a great finish as well. See, I said, Jamie Vardy scored. Jamie Vardy scored his 200th goal for Leicester, given the position he'd found himself in the finish. But no, it's a really great play from Conor Cody. He scores his first Premier League goal for Leicester with that one this afternoon. So Archie's played himself into a little bit of pressure, but he does well to get away from it. And El Khanous nearly finds Jamie Vardy with that flick on. Ball forward for Forest is intercepted well by Skip. It's then laid off to Ndidi. Find El Khanous on the near side. His ball forward is intercepted brilliantly by Nicholas Dominguez. Sangare will play a ball in behind, looking for Alanga. He will get there ahead of Luke Thomas. Question is, what can he do with it now? He's in the corner for Forest. He's brought down by the Leicester fullback. What's he won? He's won a free kick, and that's a good decision, I think, from the linesman, because the first initial tackle from Thomas wasn't a foul. The problem was Alanga tried to get up, and Thomas then grabbed him as soon as he hit the deck. We'll see a replay of it now. Alanga goes to ground. That's not a foul. Where the foul is then when he stops him from getting up there.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's unfortunate for Thomas because it's a good first tackle, but he's just really clumsy in his desperation to try and get the ball back afterwards, and that's where he just loses the concentration and fouls Anthony Alanga. It's a very cheap free kick to give away. It's now a really promising position to get a dangerous cross into the box.
Yeah, it is, but it needs to be a good cross into the penalty area. We saw in the early game between Newcastle and Chelsea, crosses into the box are only useful if they're of a decent standard. Some of the corners in that game previously were absolutely appalling. Wait to see what Alanga can do from this one. It's a right-footed ball. It's not a bad one, and it's in for us to level. And it's a brilliant header into the back of the net from Morgan Gibbs-White. I tell you what, he's not the sort of player you'd have expected to get a goal from a set piece from a header, but that is some goal from the Nottingham Forest captain.
He's one of the smallest players on the field. Why on earth has he been able to win a header from a free kick? It's really poor defending from Leicester. Lovely delivery by Alanga. Plenty of whip behind it. Oh, but it's a fantastic header from Gibbs-White.
It's textbook.
It's what you're told to do. Across into the area, you head it down into the floor to make it awkward for the keeper. And that's exactly what he does. And it's a wonderful finish with Gibbs-White, and Forest back into it, back on level terms. Can they kick on and take the lead?
Yeah, from a Nottingham Forest point, you'd like to hope so. I mean, I'm not being funny. If Leicester are going to mark like that from set pieces for the rest of the game, they definitely will do. I mean, I know he's not tall, but why on earth is Morgan Gibbs-White completely free in the box when you've got James Justin and Wout Faes seemingly marking nobody? I mean, it's so strange from Leicester. I can't get my head around it, but the goal's been scored. It's a great goal from Morgan Gibbs-White. I was just about to say before that set piece was taken, I think if they're going to win this game, given their poor record of coming from behind, particularly at the City ground, Forest needed to score before half-time. What they've done, they've scored 20 minutes before half-time. It's absolutely brilliant for them. They need to kick on though from here, and they need to put Leicester under a fair bit of pressure and look to try and get themselves in a position where they can just pound and pound and pound at Stolarczyk's goal, because I quite like him as a backup goalkeeper, but he's not of the level of Hermansen, and I think obviously he's there to be got at. That's a bit harsh, but you know, he's not the number one goalkeeper for a reason.
Yeah, I think it's the same whenever you come across any team that are starting their backup keeper. They're not going to have had as much game time as their number one. There's going to be an element of rustiness to his game. Obviously, not complete rustiness. He played in the last match, which they won, of course. But it will give Forest license to take some pop shots. And now they're on level terms, and they know they can get at this Leicester back line. They will just need to do so and try and test the hands of Stolarczyk, because I don't think he's had to make a save yet, the Leicester City goalkeeper. So his handling could still be rustic. You need to start testing him if you are going to have any chance of taking the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Ball now at the feet of Anthony Elanga on the near side. He's just going to go back to Milenkovic. Moves it square now for Ibrahim Songare. He'll then step into the centre circle and play a nice looking ball forward to find Elliot Anderson. Moves it onto the left once again for Nico Williams. Back to Anderson once again. Now Songare will find Milenkovic. Back to the Ivorian midfielder. Onto the left now for Morato. This is good from Forest. Nice patient play. You know, there's a mistake in this Leicester backline somewhere. They've just got to keep hold of the ball and look to try and exploit it when they find it. Einer's asking for the ball on the near side. In the end, Songare will just shuffle it over further onto the right for Gibbs White. He's under pressure from Thomas, who does well to win his side of throw-in as well. Gibbs White just having a word with somebody from a Leicester persuasion as Gibbs White just dropped the ball in the middle of the park. I'm not quite sure. He should be yellow carded for that, I think, Morgan Gibbs White. Either way, play will continue with Leicester in possession. It's Ndidi. We'll just go back to Stolarczyk. He's looking for options in front of him. We'll just go square to Cody. Cody quickly round the corner to Justin. Justin's got a bit of space to work with, and we'll play a nice ball forward to Ayew. Ayew will then try and flick it round the corner. Eventually finds the former Luton fullback. He's forced to cut back on himself under pressure from Dominguez. So we'll go back to Cody. Cody, right-footed ball over the top, is intercepted well by Songare. And then Ndidi's loose touch is picked off by the former PSV man. And then a free kick's been given on the far side. I don't quite know who's given away the foul, but put it this way, there are Forest players on the other side of the advertising hoardings who are not happy about that tackle whatsoever, and now it's going to be an opportunity for Forest to swing the ball into the box. It's interesting, we had a conversation, didn't we, in the office about who cares more about this game, Nottingham Forest or Leicester, because it's deemed a bit of a local rivalry, but it's not one of those that you'd really think, oh, it's a really fierce one. I'm now starting to see that we were maybe a bit wrong, because it doesn't look like these two are really here for messing about whatsoever, which I know it seems obvious because they're both Premier League opposition, and one team's fighting for Champions League football and one team's, you know, fighting to not be one of the worst teams in Premier League history. But this has got an edge to it. It's a cross is swung in, good header away from James Justin. Yeah,
it definitely does have an edge to it. I mean, whether or not these guys are each other's main rivals, it doesn't really matter at the end. I think Nottingham Forest fans will admit that their biggest rivalry probably comes to Derby County, and obviously Notts County over the river as well. But when it comes to this division, Leicester are their biggest rivals, and same with the other way around. So of course it's going to be an element of bite. You're not going to want to lose this game. You want to make your mark, and it's proving in this game that we're getting a little bit of a bite, a bit of intensity, a bit of aggression, and it's making for an enjoyable spectacle. As it looks like there's another goal in the Premier League, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. Just over half hour gone in the games around the grounds, and our game, independent of Tube Studio-based commentary, it's Forest 1, Leicester City 1 at Old Trafford. Manchester United have gone behind to West Ham. Thomas Souček with the goal in that one. Manchester United are now 17th. I mean, it's been a bad season, but that is... I've never seen Manchester United like this in my lifetime. I don't know how to describe it, to be totally honest with you, but the focus remains on the game at the City ground. It is Forest in possession once again. It's almost really been the story of the game, hasn't it, really? Since Leicester took the lead, Forest have been in possession, and they've just looked to try and break down this Leicester team. Morato has it, moves on to the left-hand side for Nico Williams. Down the line to find Alanga. We'll move it forward to Anderson. Back to Alanga on the left-hand side. Ball into the box. It's not a bad one. Good header away from Fass. It's brought down edge of the penalty area by Anderson. He's then tackled well by Jamie Vardy. And now maybe Leicester can come forward on the counter-attack. El Canoes, he's in behind Aina. And he's going to drive forward. He's just got to take it down the left-hand side. Has the Moroccan. He's one-on-one with Sangare. Good tackle comes in from the former Toulouse midfielder. And that's how to play for a throw-in on the near side. To one counter-attack, to another counter-attack, to another counter-attack. It's great to watch as a neutral.
Yeah, from a neutral perspective, it's fantastic. It's end-to-end stuff, both sides going at it, both sides looking like they could get the next goal. They're not being shy at all of going forward. There's areas in the game, there's plenty of gaps to exploit. It was really difficult to say which way this is going to go.
Yeah, certainly is. As Leicester have got a throw-in on the near side. Luke Thomas quickly throws it into El Canoes before going all the way back to Stolarczyk. Forest not exactly squeezing up to put pressure on the Polish goalkeeper, but they are moving into Leicester territory. Now Fass has it on the left, rolls it onto his right foot and then lays it off to Oliver Skip. Will turn and face the red shirts in front of him before going back to Stolarczyk. Will then lay it off onto the left again for Wout Fass, who's going to look to move forward and then turn back on himself and go back to Stolarczyk. It's a case of Stolarczyk to Fass, then Fass back to Stolarczyk until eventually Stolarczyk goes long onto the right side looking towards McAteer. Header easily won by Nico Williams before Ndidi battles with Wood to win the ball in midfield. Ndidi comes away with it, lays off to Cody. Cody plays it forward to Jordan Ayew. He'll then go into the heart of the backline for Wout Fass. He's then going to step forward towards Forest territory, moves on to the left for Luke Thomas. Under pressure from Dominguez, will go back to Wout Fass once again. Square to Connor Cody. Looking for options in front of him. He's asking for players to move. He doesn't really get that movement, so we'll go square to James Justin. Justin down the line for Ayew. Ayew inside to Ndidi. Ndidi turns it around the corner for McAteer. Does well to keep that ball in and then is challenged by Nico Williams. And it's how to play for a throw-in on the far side. I said we've got counter-attack and counter-attack. It now looks as though it's going to be one team can keep possession. They will do until it opens up, and then they're going to really go for it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's sort of a game of cat and mouse at the moment with both these teams constantly countering each other. Maybe it's a case you need to sit back enough to invite the more of the opposition to come deeper and deeper in attack, and then hit them when there's a lot more space and fewer players to defend against. There's a man down on the far side. Looks like McAteer's holding the back of his head, and now Nico Williams is down as well. Tackles flying in across the park.
Yeah, they certainly are. I think Forest are annoyed because they're going to get a free kick here when they wanted advantage played, but Tony Harrington just suggested he stopped it because McAteer hit the deck with a head injury. How did he end up with said knock to the head? I don't think he did. Unless did he get caught? Yes, he did. Sorry, the replay was a lot longer than I think it needed to be. Yeah, he just got caught there by Nico Williams as he was trying to run away and win the ball back. And then Anderson was absolutely clattered on the far side, so he won the free kick, and Forest can get restarted once again in possession. As Ibrahim Songare will move it on to the right for Sergej Milenkovic. Milenkovic now onto the right for Aina. Aina down the line for Alanga. That's a poor pass back to the Nigerian. And now forward come Leicester once again, looking to try and build up through midfield. Ayew lays it off onto the right for Justin. Justin will then go back to Connor Cody. 35 minutes gone at the City Ground, independent off-tube studio-based commentary. It's Forest 1, Leicester 1. Ball over the top looking for Luke Thomas. It's well marshalled in the end by Ola Aina. Out of play for a goal kick. We're just going to get a replay, I think, of this Morgan Gibbs-White goal that got Forest level. It's just brilliant. I love watching goals like that where you just go, yep, that is how you score that type of goal. That is exactly how you score a header from a free kick like that. Absolutely terrific for Nottingham Forest. And I think from a neutral's point of view, that's probably done us a fair bit of a favour, because otherwise I think we were set for Nottingham Forest just to bang at the door of Leicester for 90 minutes. Yeah,
it definitely has benefited the game massively. I mean, that header sort of vindicates the entire idea of being taught the basics. So when you're a youngster, when you're taught to head a ball, the main things you're taught is if you get a cross into the box, you head it back to where the cross came from because it'll wrong fit the keeper, and you head it down towards the floor. Of course, he couldn't really do the former. He definitely did the latter, and the keeper had no chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So moved Nottingham Forest up to 16 goals from set pieces this season. found joint most with Arsenal. I have to say, I can't really remember the last time Arsenal scored a goal from a set piece. Granted, I don't watch them week in, week out, but it does feel like a while since the Gunners last scored from one of those famous Nicolas Jova set pieces. It feels like after they made that mural, they kind of tried up a little bit potentially for the Gunners, but nonetheless, 16 in the season is an awful lot, you'd have to say. So credit to both Forest and Arsenal as Vardy's given the ball away in midfield for Leicester. Oh, what a ball that is from Dominguez. Chris Wood can't quite take it in stride. He's brought down by Wout Fast, and then a free kick given by Tony Harrington against the Kiwi striker means that Leicester get away with it. I mean, it's poor from Vardy, great from Dominguez, then poor from Wood. Then I felt it was poor from Fast, but the referee actually decided no, that Fast had been fouled and play needs to be stopped unless we're going to have a free kick.
Yeah, it's a rather fortunate because it's a wonderful ball by Dominguez. It just wouldn't fall kindly to Chris Wood. If it falls in front of him, he can go for a first-time effort, but it's ever so slightly behind the Kiwi striker, and he just could not get it into his stride, and in the end, it's just a little bit clumsy. I think Fass sort of wins the free kick rather than it being a foul initially by Chris Wood, but what an opportunity.
Yeah, it really is. It just needs to be, that ball just needed a little bit more pace and a little bit more to Chris Wood's left, and I think that's a goal, and I think Forest have the lead. And put it this way, from a neutral point of view, the worst thing that can happen to this game is Forest take a lead, because they will put backs against the wall and they will defend that 2-1 lead for the rest of the 90 minutes. For Leicester, it's a case of just sticking on in there. If they can get to half-time at 1-1, I think they'll be absolutely delighted. And it puts themselves in a half-decent position for the second half as well, it has to be said. Thomas has surely fouled a Langer there in the middle of the park. Indeed, he has. He's a little bit frustrated there. Is the number 33, but I don't think he can have too many complaints whatsoever. And play will continue with Forest in possession. Dominguez moves on to the left. Down the line for Nico Williams. It's back to Dominguez once again. Morato will then move it forward to Anderson. Back to Morato once again. And now with Elliot Anderson. Anderson plays a nice ball forward for Gibbs White. Does well to hold on to it initially. Then the tackle comes in from Ndidi. And Leicester win the ball back, although Jordan Ayew takes far too long. He just stands on the ball there, does the Ghanaian, and gives the ball away. And now forward come Forest once again. Great 1-2 between Anderson and Wood. And Anderson's still coming forward. Who's he been fouled by? The referee says Oliver Skip. And it's going to be a free kick. That looked to me like it was just a case of Anderson running into Skip. In the end, Skip has judged to have fouled him. And he's picked up a yellow card as well for his troubles.
Yeah, it's a very clumsy tackle by Oliver Skip in the end. I mean, Anderson trying to drive forward.
Yeah, no, I see it now, yeah.
He gets sandwiched between Skip and Justin. It's hard to know exactly who's more at fault, but Skip, he almost gets completely caught in between them. Thankfully, the contact comes just behind, but it was always going to be a free kick. It was just really poor play by Oliver Skip, because Justin, I think, had it covered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Justin was coming across and he was narrowing the issue down as best as possible. Did something happen off the ball there? Just while I was making a note about Skip picking up a yellow card, the camera panned out really quite weirdly. I don't know whether something had happened maybe off the ball or not, and whether maybe somebody else had talked themselves into the yellow card. Either way, what an opportunity this is to make it 17 goals from set pieces. I mean, Gibbs White is excellent from dead ball opportunities, as is Anthony Elanga. I mean, if Hudson-Odoi was on the field as well, you'd have three players that are really, really good options from this position. Murillo as well has been known to hit a few in from distance. So it'd be really interesting to see what can happen from this one. Also as well, that's really caught me off guard. I love to skip 9 yellow cards this season. That's a crazy number for a player who has not exactly been ever present in this Leicester side, it has to be said. 9 yellow cards is a ridiculous amount. Opportunity though from this set piece. It looks as though it's set up for Morgan Gibbs White and his right foot to take it. Salarczyk is very, very central. He's very much covering the other side of that wall, and Gibbs White will go for goal. It was always going to be difficult from that angle because he needs to get it right in the corner given where Salarczyk was positioned. Well, he never got it down, nor did he get it inside the post either. It's not a great free kick, is it, from Morgan Gibbs White?
No, it's really quite poor from Morgan Gibbs White. He goes for power, doesn't get the connection right, and it never gets the required dip. It's always looking like it's rising towards Rosette. It's a pretty poor effort in what was a really promising position.
Yeah, it certainly was. Maybe it's one of those where it's not quite perfect. It's a little bit closer and a little bit too far to the left than your perfect free kick. But he could have probably done better with it. Morgan Gibbs White is maybe even could have chipped a ball into the box, catch Leicester off guard. Either way, play continues. Bit of head tennis going on in midfield. It's still bouncing around. Eventually, will it be brought down? No. Olorun is just going to hoop it up into the air. Justin lets it bounce, and Nico Williams can't keep it in, so it's out of play for a throw-in on the far side. We've got just under 4 minutes to go of normal time plus any stoppages at the end of the first 45 at the City Ground. Independent Opportunity Studio-based commentary. Nottingham Forest 1, Leicester City 1. On the balance of play, you'd probably say Forest have been the better side, but Leicester have had their moments as well. Of course, scored through Conor Cody to take the lead in this one before conceding a Morgan Gibbs-White header of all players to be penned back level as Vardy goes chasing after that loose ball. Sangare does well to win it. I will then play it back down the line to the former PSV Eindhoven man. He'll then go back to Milenkovic now with Olorun once again. He'll lay it off to Sangare. To Milenkovic, Anderson telling him to move it over to the left, and indeed he does. Morato's there. Morato will move it further wide for Williams. Williams forward to Gibbs-White, back to Williams once again. He'll then chip a ball onto the right. It's not a bad looking ball to Elanga, heads on brilliantly to find Ola Aina. Aina opens it up on his right foot, ball to the box is not a bad one. It's not a bad header from Valfast, not properly dealt with until Luke Thomas gets a secondary header. Anderson with a shot towards goal is blocked, but it will find its way to Aina. Aina ball to the box to Elanga, his cross is deflected, and eventually it is properly dealt with by El Canoes. But Forest looking so dangerous down the right.
Yeah, really, really dangerous. The pace of Elanga and Aina causing Leicester so many issues. But the fact that Elanga had so much space there in the box is, again, really poor, sluggish defending from Leicester. They're just not aware of their surroundings. And it's been pretty simple so far for Forest to cut through them when they're turning it up a few gears. But they're so rarely decided to crank up the pressure that for the vast majority Leicester have done well to keep them at bay.
Yeah, they certainly have. So Dominguez is going to come forward again down the left hand side for Forest. Lays it off to Nico Williams. That's a lovely ball back to Dominguez. Oh, great strike. Oh, what a chance. Unbelievable. It's a brilliant bit of play down the left hand side between Williams and Dominguez. Dominguez's strike is pretty well stayed by Stolarczyk, but acrobatic header, shall we say, from Chris Wood. He should have done better. And he comes at him quickly. Could he take a touch? I'm in so many different minds about this chance for Chris Wood. Either way, I think we're probably in agreement, Will, that Forest should be ahead.
Yeah, they should be. Really good effort by Nicolas Dominguez. Very well saved by Jakub Stolarczyk. I think it'd be very, very harsh to say that Chris Wood should be scoring that, to be honest. It's coming him at such a rate of knots. He's done so well to throw his body at it and get it even remotely towards goal. Yes, it goes over and wide, and it will go down as a big opportunity. But it was a really difficult one for the Kiwi.
Yeah, it was. The only thought was, could he maybe bring it down? Could he use his chest rather than having to react first time? I'm not quite sure. It's always difficult to tell without being in those positions yourself. Final minute of normal time at City Ground, independent off-tube studio-based commentary. It's Forest 1, Leicester 1. I'm not entirely sure how it's only 1-1. It has to be said, both teams have had some half-decent chances to be ahead in this one. But either way, the two sides are level. It looks as though they're going to go in at the interval level unless Forest can create an opportunity from this move forward. Although Williams has just fouled James Justin, so that's going to be a free kick against the Welsh international. I can't imagine there'll be too much time added on at the end of this first 45. My guess is maybe 1 or 2 minutes because of the 2 goals that we've had.
It hasn't been that stop-starty
No.
as a game. There's not been too many injuries. Also, we had a little bit of a VAR check for Cody's goal. But I would say 3 at a real push you're looking at for added on time.
We're not going to get the 6 that we had at the end of the first half in our first game, are we? But we're taking closer and closer towards the time that we're going to find out how long is left. Stolarczyk is going to, you'd assume, launch this long ball forward. He sends everybody up to put pressure on the Forest backline. The fourth official has indeed held up his ball. There'll be 2 minutes added on at the end of the first 45. Long ball sent forward, header won by Anderson. Second ball won by Williams. Third ball won by Anderson. And then the fourth ball is going to be a Leicester City throw-in on the far side. Forest is unable to deal with these long balls forward at the minute. And you can tell Leicester are very much trying to kill as much time as possible to get through to half-time at 1-1. It's interesting to see the mentality of the two teams, isn't it? Again, I know Forest have got way more to play for than Leicester have, but you think if we can get a win and stop our rivals from getting into the Champions League, you'd be well and truly up for it. But no, it looks as though that they're very much in a position of, do you know what, let's just try not to lose, which I think is quite sad at this stage of the season. I think if you're an away fan and you've travelled to go see your team play like this, as a ball sent in towards the box after the header was the throw-in was headed away. Luke Thomas did not take a touch off Matt Sells. Have Leicester got a final corner before the end of the half? It looks as though they have. We'll see a replay of it now. I don't know what to think about these Luke Thomas throw-ins, by the way, because they've got all right distance, but there's no pace on them, and they're being dealt with pretty well by Forest. Until the second ball. The second ball they're struggling to deal with more than anything. They're going to have to deal with the corner now. I'm sure they'll be making sure that they pick up Conor Cody at this one better than they did before the goal. We'll wait to see what they can do with it. It looks like it's Jordan Ayew that's gone over to go take it on the near side, so it'll be an in-swinger with the Ghanaian's right boot. Both Leicester centre-halves have been sent forward for this set piece. Ayew holds up both arms before he whips in this right-footed in-swinger. It's so bad. It's so bad at the near post. Vardy's got his head to it, credit to him, but what on earth is he supposed to do with that ball?
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing you do about it. It's rather flat, it's low, it's not a great deal of accuracy. It's poor all around, and that's been the issue for Leicester's season, really. There's just been nowhere near enough quality in the final third.
No, there really hasn't, and we've now ticked into the final few seconds, you'd assume, of the added on time at the end of this first half. You'd assume Matt Sells is going to boot this ball long, and that is going to be the end of the first half. It's been an interesting first half, to say the least. We've not had too many clear-cut opportunities, but Chris Wood's had a few where he could have found the back net. Indeed, it is the end of the first half. So Nottingham Forest, I think it's fair to say, have been the better of the two sides come the end of the first 45 minutes, but they did trail after Conor Cody's header from close range after a save from Matt Sells to deny Bilal El Khanous. But Forest very quickly got back on the front foot, and Morgan Gibbs-White, a header from an Anthony Elanga free kick, got the home side back level. So half-time at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest 1, Leicester City 1.
Half-time, it is Nottingham Forest 1, Leicester City 1. It was the visitors that took the lead when El Khanous' effort from the edge of the area stung the hands of Matt Sells, but he was unable to palm it away from danger, and it fell to Conor Cody running in, who managed to plant his header into the back of the net. Forest equalised, though, just before the 25th minute. A free kick from Anthony Elanga finding the head of Morgan Gibbs-White, who planted his effort into the bottom right-hand corner. Forest have had the majority of the chances, but they've struggled to take the lead. Yeah, we are underway for the second half of this contest between Nottingham Forest and Leicester City. It's one apiece after the first period of 45 minutes. The visitors taking the lead via the head of Connor Cody before Morgan Gibbs-White managed to get back on level terms for Nottingham Forest, also with a header from a very well taken Anthony Alanga. Free kick. Doesn't look like there's been any changes at the half-time interval, so it's very much as we were. For Nottingham Forest, it's Sells in goal, a back four of Aina, Milenkovic, Morato and Williams. Sangare and Anderson are the holding midfielders, with Dominguez, Gibbs-White and Alanga supporting Chris Wood up top. For Leicester, it's Stolarczyk in goal, Thomas, Fass, Cody and Justin in the back four. Ndidi and Skip are the holding midfielders, with El Canous, Ayew and McAteer supporting their lone striker of Jamie Vardy. It's myself, Will Maxwell and Luke Ashurst taking you through this one. Luke, are you surprised there's been no changes at half-time?
Not really, no. For some reason we've just had a couple upon our screen that James Justin picked up a yellow card. I don't know when that happened, but he has been yellow carded, just so you're all aware of that. Am I surprised there's been no changes at half-time? No, I'm not. I look at the bench for Forest, and I think, is there anything really that on their bench that gives them an extra dimension? I don't think so. I think it's just a case of keep on plugging away at this Leicester side. For Leicester, I think there's probably even less on their bench that is going to make too much of a difference in this one. So I just think, you know what, keep things how they are. I don't think either team will have been disappointed with the way they played in general in that first half. It's those snap moments that have been an issue for the two of them in that first 45. That's why it was 1-1 at the break rather than 0-0.
Milenkovic picks up proceedings and goes back towards Matt Sells. Looks like there's an offside flag up on Jamie Vardy. So it will be a chance for Forest to restart things from the back as Anderson finds Morato under pressure from El Canous. Back towards Anderson. He spreads it over towards the right-hand side with Milenkovic. Here's Ola Aina trying to skip away from Ayew. Will spread it down the right for Gibbs-White. Alanga away from Thomas, back towards Aina. No real movement off the ball for him ahead of him, so he's got to turn back towards his defensive partner of Milenkovic. Forest dominating the early proceedings with the possession. The flick on by Dominguez is poor, goes straight to Oliver Skip. Poor pass by Skip, hitting Dominguez. It falls to Gibbs-White, opportunity. Gibbs-White trying to break into the area, just run out of room, and eventually it's Thomas that picks it up and sends the ball out of play for a goal kick, but a sloppy error there from Skip almost allowed an opening for Morgan Gibbs-White.
It almost did, but it was poor from Gibbs-White as well. He needed to recognise that Alanga was free on the right-hand side if he played the early ball. He didn't, and in the end ran himself into trouble. But it's a worrying start for Leicester already, who do not look composed at the start of their second half. Ball in, it's not a bad one. Dominguez can't quite get a toe in on it, and Neco Williams is now battling away. Neco Williams has won it along the byline.
Williams tries to break into the area, goes down looking for a penalty, not going to go his way. The clearance then hits Dominguez and goes out of play for a goal kick, but really tenacious play by Neco Williams, not giving it up, dispossessing McAteer in a tight area and almost managed to break into the area. So wicked ball in from Ibrahim Sangare, looking for Chris Wood and Dominguez. Wood not too far away, nor was Dominguez throwing his body at it.
That bounce is just that little bit too high, isn't it? If it bounces just that little bit closer to Dominguez, it's 2-1, but it bounces over his foot rather than being too far in front of him. Brilliant ball into the box, great run from Dominguez. I've been really impressed with him so far in this game.
He's had a very solid performance so far, has the Argentine. We wait for Wood to flick on. Here's Dominguez. Wood picking it up and putting it over the top towards the Argentine again. Gibbs-White continues his run. Here's Morgan Gibbs-White, the Forest captain, held up by Wilfred Ndidi. We'll go back towards Dominguez, trying to thread it in towards Anderson, hammered away by the Nigerian Wilfred Ndidi. Picked up though by Morato, finding Neco Williams, who's got a little bit of space to move into. Lays it towards the left for Gibbs-White once again. He'll turn his pass is blocked by McAteer. There'll be a throw-in for Forest on this near left-hand side. In regards to the scorelines in the other game, it remains Manchester United 0, West Ham 1. Thomas Suchek's goal separating the two sides there. And Palace are now ahead against Tottenham. They've had 2 goals already ruled out by VAR. And Ebere Eze has scored just before half-time to give Palace what looks to be quite a deserved lead at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As our Officer Material Pictures focuses in on some Forest fans frustrated with some decision by Tony Harrington. There was a free kick that didn't go their way. Dominguez rose higher, so it actually came off Ndidi last, and a goal kick was awarded rather than a corner. I understand the frustration from the fans and the Forest players. is a difficult decision to make, and it's a very difficult position is the referee. Really, do they get much credit in the Premier League? As the ball forward looks towards Ayew, headed away by Anderson, picked up by Skip. Skip, really good play there to get away from Anderson, finding Vardy. El Canoes trying to get away from Dominguez. Has had a foul by the Argentine. It is Dominguez furious with that decision, but it will be a free kick and an opportunity for Leicester to put the ball in the box.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see from the replay how much of the ball does Dominguez take. It's difficult because the initial contact is shoulder to shoulder, you feel, and then secondary contact comes from behind El Canoes because he's strong enough to get in front of Dominguez. So I think actually in hindsight it's a good decision from Tony Harrington. They've got to be careful of Forest. They've got to keep their heads. This game is going to get frustrating at times. They've just got to crack on with it.
They do just need to get on with proceedings. El Canoes and Ayew both standing over this. Looking about 40-45 yards out. Pretty central. So it has to be a pinpoint delivery if they are going to find a man at the far post, which Connor Cody is currently the likeliest player to aim for. Of course, got the opening goal for Leicester. Ball towards the far post. Aina heads it away, forced to Ndidi, chests it down away from Morgan Gibbs-White. Will be left for Thomas, who tries to dig across into the box. Looking for Jamie Vardy, punched away by Sells. It falls to James Justin. Justin tries to get a shot away, turned away by Morato. And with that fall to Alanga, we know he's got pace. He can bring it down, and he's found Morgan Gibbs-White. Not a great touch though by the Nottingham Forest midfielder, but he's done well to find Olorena. Is the attack still on for Forest? Aina skipping away from Ayew, trying to hammer across the pass towards Dominguez. It will elude him. Will it be kept in play by Nico Williams? It will, and a real opportunity still here for Forest. The Welshman finds Anderson on the edge. Will he get out a shot? Gets it stuck in his feet, and it's really good defending there by McAteer to stick with him and then get a toe to it as well. As the ball forward looks to try and set off Vardy, who skips away from Milenkovic, but he won't get there in front of Morato. Comfortable defending there from Forest.
Yeah, it's comfortable defending from Forest, but it's also not too difficult defending for Leicester either down the other end. Forest get themselves in some really good areas and they waste it completely. I think Anderson's got to pull the trigger when that space opens up for him. They just look a little bit bereft of ideas. Opportunity now, Dominguez with the header. Oh, he's got to do better. He gets no purchase on that. I don't know why he's gone with his head. I think he's got to volley that. It opened up all of a sudden for them, and they've made a mess of it at Forest.
They really have. It's Alanga once again down the right-hand side. It's been so dangerous. And the ball in takes a wicked deflection, falls kindly to Dominguez. I think it's caught in two minds whether or not he wants to go for a volley or a header. Eventually throws his body at it, but it's a pretty poor effort. That's very comfortably saved by Jakub Stolarczyk.
Yeah, he's got to volley it, in my opinion. I think he definitely got to volley it. That's a chance. I don't know how many better chances you're going to get than that, to be totally honest with you. They've worked that brilliantly. You also need a bit of fortune. They got that as well. I'm shocked. I am shocked, to be honest with you.
Yes, there's an offside. Is that? No, it's going to be a free kick, actually. Ibrahima Sangare adjudged to have fouled Jordan Ayew. So an opportunity for Leicester to restart things with a throw-in. Looks like Crystal Palace have doubled their advantage away from home against Tottenham Hotspur. Ebere Eze once again on the score sheet. Of course, next game will be FA Cup against Manchester City at Wembley next Saturday. Skip tackled by Sangare, poked away by Ndidi. Falls to Morato, threads it in towards Gibbs-White, who skips away from Thomas. There's space for Alanga. We know how dangerous he is on the wing, and he's got a fantastic delivery. If he can get towards the byline, gets away from Ayew. That's well tackled there by Thomas. There will be a corner kick, though, for the hosts.
Yeah, and again, Forest is looking to try and put that pressure on, try and pen Leicester back. They did this in the first half, didn't they? They started really quickly, putting Leicester under a lot of pressure, looking for that early goal to try and get the business done as soon as possible, and that's what they're doing in the second half, 10 minutes in.
So opportunity from a corner kick. Morato, Milenkovic both forward for this set piece, both dangerous in the air. Needs to be a good delivery. Sangare's in the middle as well, jostling with Oliver Skip. It's a dangerous ball. It's Chris Wood's header, takes a big deflection, and it's going to be comfortably gathered again by Stolarczyk, who didn't have to come too far out to gather, but Wood was being tightly marked by 2 or 3 players there.
Yeah, he was, and that's exactly what Leicester need to do. They need to be tight. They weren't doing that in the first half. It was too easy for players to get heads on the ball. They need to that they just need to stick to the task and keep things nice and tight and sensible. Oh, well played, Oliver Skipp. He's gotten away from Chris Wood there brilliantly.
He finds El Khanous, who tries to poke it in towards Ayew. Has been caught by Morato. No, says the referee. Aina picks it up. We'll try and bring the ball further forward. Lays it in towards Morgan Gibbs-White. Alanga to his right, tries to deliver a dangerous ball. It's good. It's Chris Wood, and it is 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. It had been coming, and Chris Wood finally, with his first effort on target, gives Forest the lead in what could be a crucial goal as they look to secure Champions League football.
Yeah, brilliant play from Nottingham Forest and excellent from Chris Wood as well. We said Leicester needed to keep it tight and they haven't done so. They were opened up far too easily once again. It's elation for Nottingham Forest, elation for Chris Wood. He finally has his 20th league goal of the season, and that will mean so much to the Kiwi striker. He's been absolutely fantastic for Nottingham Forest this season, and that is a huge moment for him. I need to see a replay, but to me this is an avoidable goal, and I think Leicester have done themselves a disservice with the way they've defended this. El Khanous will feel he was fouled there. I don't think he was. He gets back to his feet very quickly as well. Aina then forces the issue. He says, you know what, we're going to come forward. Finds Gibbs-White, who whips in a wicked delivery into the penalty area. But James Justin cannot allow Chris Wood to get goal side of him there. That is not acceptable of a player playing in the Premier League. He's got 19 league goals this season before that straight. You cannot allow him to get goal side. Take nothing away from Chris Wood. It's an absolutely brilliant finish. But what a ball is that from Morgan Gibbs-White, who, since that opening period of play where he looked so poor, has really put a shift in and gone, you know what, I'm going to grab this game by the scruff of the neck and we are going to win. And that's exactly what it looks like they're going to do now.
Yeah, it's a fantastic delivery by the Forest number 10, and a wonderful finish from Chris Wood to give Nottingham Forest the lead, and they could come forward again. Here is Morgan Gibbs-White has dispossessed Skipp. Wood finds Alanga, he pulls the trigger, comfortably blocked by Val Fast, picked up by Skipp, who needs a bit of support, turns and eventually lays it back for Thomas. Now Ndidi trying to skip away from Gibbs-White. Crossfield pass will look to set off McAteer. McAteer keeps the ball in play, does well to skip away from Williams, little drop of the shoulder, and it somehow gets away from Anderson, but eventually picked up by Williams, who then manages to ride the tackle of Justin, who goes down in a heap. Advantage, says Tony Harrington. Now an opportunity here. Wood has Alanga to the right, tries to thread him in. Important block there by Wout Fast, but it'll fall to Alanga again. As he skipped away from Thomas, no, that's going to be a free kick. You're calling for a yellow card, Luke, and that's exactly what's going to be given.
Yeah, it's the correct decision as well from Tony Harrington. He's away from him there. Is Anthony Alanga, and he's hit the deck. Here's Luke Thomas. I think he slips. To be fair to him, I think that's where the anger comes from. But accident or not, he stopped a promising attack. I don't really see what the complaints are there for the tackle on James Justin. That to me looks mostly to the ball. Yeah, no, correct decision. It's not an accident, is it, from Luke Thomas? He actually intends to go to ground and makes a horrible error. Great play from Anthony Alanga to take it round him. Leicester really need to dig in now because Forest look as though they're going to try and kill this game off as quickly as possible.
That's exactly what they need to do. Try and keep Leicester pegged back and get this second goal cushion. It's going to be a free kick, and Anthony Alanga's deliveries so far have been fantastic.
Yeah.
So needs another one. Wood, Sangare, Milenkovic, Gibbs-White, Morato, all to aim for in the middle. Dominguez is also there. Dangerous delivery, turned away well by Wout Fast, falls to Anderson, who moons it out wide for the left-hand side for Williams. Tries to get a cross in away from Justin, well blocked, it'll fall to Jamie Vardy, tries to skip away from Morato.
Well,
that's going to be a free kick and surely another yellow card, and that's exactly that. It'll be Morato this time.
Yeah, again, another correct decision from Tony Harrington. It was panic stations along that Forest backline, wasn't there? They did not know what to do in order to stop Jamie Vardy. I don't think Morato needs to bring him down, if I'm being totally honest. I think they panic more than it's worth. I think Aina's getting across. Yeah, he doesn't leave anything to chance, does he, Morato? He says, you know what, I'm going to take one for the team here, I'm going to stop the attack. And it's sensible, but I just don't know if it's entirely necessary. Either way, good decision from Tony Harrington. Double change coming now for Leicester City. For Condone is coming on to replace Jordan Ayew. I really like Jordan Ayew, I do. as the season's gone on, I've learned to understand why Palace let him go on a free. I think the legs have gone just that little bit. We're also going to see Oliver Skip leave the field of play, and is that Boubakary Soumaré that's come on to replace him. We'll just wait for confirmation. What we can confirm, by the way, is that West Ham United have got a second goal at Old Trafford. Jared Bowen has given West Ham a second in that one. Manchester United have also substituted 2 centre-halves in that game as well, despite being 1-0 down. Those changes clearly haven't worked because 5 minutes later, West Ham doubled their lead. But who am I to question Ruben Amorim? Either way, those changes have been made for Leicester, and well, I think they're probably sensible, aren't they, really, from Ruben van Nistelrooy?
Yeah, they are sensible. They needed some fresh legs on, but Anote will throw his body around and do his best to make himself a nuisance as Williams turns away from him. Finds Morato, who lifts the ball forward, headed on well by Chris Wood. It'll fall to Anderson. Dominguez continues his run ahead of him, needs a little bit of support. Anderson turns away from Ndidi and finds Williams. Back it'll go for Morato. Here's Anderson. Anderson finding Dominguez. 1-2 between Dominguez and Morato. Here is Sangare. Under no immediate pressure from El Khanous. Goes back towards the Brazilian. Morato finding support. Sangare, is that a foul by Justin? No, it was a fair turn by Anderson, but it has come off of the number 2. Will be a throw in for Forest on this near left-hand side. Sangare will be the man that comes over to take this as our off-tube studio pictures focuses in on Nuno Espirito Santo. Doesn't look like he's happy, but I'm sure he's beaming inside.
Yeah, he's never been one for showing his emotions until the final whistle, has he really, Nuno Espirito Santo, unless he was angry with his team, in which case he very much does tend to show that on occasions. But he hasn't got any reason to be angry at the minute, has he? But he'll also recognise that there's still half hour left to play of this game, and it's only a 1-goal lead. So they've got to be careful, have Forest. But I think ultimately he will actually be really quite happy with his side at the minute. I don't think there'll be too many complaints at all, because I don't think there's too much more they can do, to be honest.
I'd have to agree as Gibbs-White brings the ball down. Away to Sangare. He tries to dig out a cross. It's not a great delivery, but it will come down in time for Alange. Just can't quite wrap his foot around it. Can't keep the ball in play, and that goes out of play for a goal kick for Leicester City. Alange immediately turns to Sangare and makes the emotion say that it was a matter of inches away.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit too high. I think the reason why that's so difficult is that Alange's waiting for it to drop for so long. He's actually having to kick it a little bit higher than he would have liked, and I think that's what he's just signalling. It's just a little bit lower, and it's perfect, but he just swings it up a little bit too high, and that's what makes it difficult for the former Manchester United man.
Aina's header will find Sangare. He turns away from Soumaré, but has his pocket picked by McAteer. Well recovered, and he'll poke the ball out of play, and it's come off the Leicester man last as well. So it will be a throw-in for Forest on the right. Sangare will let that go for Aina. Picked up by Gibbs-White, and the outside of his boot will find Morato with a bit of space to drive into. Moves it towards the left-hand side for Williams. Nico Williams will drive, held up by Justin. But Anote doubles up, goes towards Dominguez. Who in turn lays that back for Anderson. Patient play here by Forest. They're in no rush to try and force things. They can hold on to possession, tire out the legs of Leicester. Ball goes back towards Anderson. Who in turn finds Morato. In for Dominguez. Elliot Anderson once again. Dominguez held up by Ndidi. No real intensity or aggression in the game here as Anderson plays a lovely back heel to Dominguez. He digs out a cross. It's not bad. Fass makes the clearance. El Khanous then brings it down for Vardy. Vardy skips away from Sangare. Tries to lay it over towards the right, and Justin hammers the ball forward. A real hiss and hope. Doesn't find anyone, and Leicester just have no ideas at the moment.
Well, as what I was just thinking, I think I've been intrigued to ask a Leicester fan who watches them week in, week out about this, but I've seen Leicester a fair bit since Van Nistelrooy took over, and I've always been left with the same question: how does he want his team to play? Because now I'm not saying you have to do what Ruben Amorim has done and play the exact same way, no matter the results, and just say, do you know what, this is what we're going to do. But in the same sense, it is normally good to have an idea of what you're doing, and at the minute I have no idea what Leicester want to do. On the ball, off the ball, anything. All I know is where the players are on the pitch, and where they want to pick up the ball, but I don't know what they want to do with it. I don't know how they want to play. I don't really see how his position is tenable as manager of this club. I mean, credit to him, when they got relegated, he could have sacked it off. He could have said, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to go back to the Netherlands, because he was very successful in the Netherlands before he took that assistant manager's job at Manchester United. So I think credit to him for that, but he's fallen out with Harry Winks to the point where he's no longer in the squad. There's been other plays where he's not, exactly endeared to them. I mean, Yannick Vestergaard, I think, has had a bit of a falling out with him as well. And the play is terrible. It is awful to watch. It really is.
It's really been quite poor from Leicester. Not what we were expecting from him after they did so well in the Championship. As a McAteer breaks forward, needs a bit of support, turns away from Aina, holds on to it, gets away from Gibbs-White, threads it in towards Elkanous. That's not bad from McAteer. Elkanous lifts the ball in, Buonanotte's header straight down the throat of Matt Sells, but that's a big improvement from Leicester, because it barely laid a finger on the Forest box.
Yeah, it was. They started to open up Forest there, moved it from left to right really quite quickly, and McAteer, used his impetus to get the ball into the box. It's a good header from Buonanotte, but it's always going to be difficult to beat Sells from there. He's arguably been the best goalkeeper in the league this season, and it's going to have to be something impressive to beat him. And unfortunately, that wasn't. Going back to the Leicester manager's situation as well, the irony is they looked like they were going to stay up under Steve Cooper, former Nottingham Forest manager. They then sacked him, and things just plummeted from there. I remember being in the office when they sacked him, having just commentated on their game. They lost 3-0 to Chelsea, and at the time Chelsea were the second best team in the league. A ball in towards the box is defended well by Wout Faes. Don't think Chris would ever look like he was favourite to get there in the end. They just lost 3-0 to Chelsea, and I thought, it's not a bad result, because Chelsea at the time were in some fantastic form, and they didn't play that badly. They were a little bit unlucky to lose by 3-0, and they sacked him, and it just went horribly wrong from there.
Yeah, it was a really big and poor decision in the end from Leicester City. Of course, Cooper was never the greatest fan, well, the Leicester fans weren't the greatest fan of Steve Cooper because of his links with Nottingham Forest. And I think that was just made the job a bit untenable for him as Gibbs-White runs into traffic and he can't keep the ball in play. He'll go out to play for a goal kick for the visitors. A chance for them to try and punt the ball further forward. No changes in the scorelines in the other two Premier League fixtures. Manchester United 0, West Ham 2, and Tottenham Hotspur 0, Crystal Palace 2, the other current scores. And the result in the early kick-off, it finished Newcastle 2, Chelsea 0. Chelsea ending the game with 10 men after a first half red card from Nicholas Jackson. Stolarczyk rolls that short for Wout Faes to bring the ball further forward. Doesn't have much in the way of moving ahead of him, tries to thread it in towards McAteer. That's a heavy tackle from Oleraina. Advantage being played as the attack is on here for Leicester. Samari inside the area. He tries to dig out a cross. That's blocked by Milenkovic. That goes out of play for a corner. And I wonder if the referee's going to go back and book Oleraina. He is.
Yeah, he is. And again, it's another good decision from Tony Harrington. He's having a good second half here, isn't he, the referee? He's refereeing it very, very well, I feel. It's just daft from Oleraina. You've got to recognise that when the ball's coming into McAteer with that pace, he's never going to win it. You're better just standing off and letting him take a touch. If he turns around the corner, he turns around the corner. There's no need to give away a yellow card like that, because you're always second favourite to win that ball.
This is a corner kick now for the visitors. Can they hit back? A real smash and grab if they can find a way forward as Faes comes up for it. It wasn't a bad effort. Vardy keeps the ball in play. Attack still on. Dominguez is there, and he'll make the clearance as Elkanous just about beats Alanga to it. And Leicester will hold on to the ball. That was a wicked delivery into the area, though, Luke.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good delivery, and I actually thought Faes maybe could have done a bit better. I'd like to see from the replay as to how tightly marked he was. But I do think potentially he could have directed that bit better towards goal. Credit to Jamie Vardy as well for keeping it in, although there was nobody really there to keep the attack going. Better from Leicester, you'd have to say. A lot better.
Much better from the Foxes. We're up past the halfway stage, though, of this second half. It is Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 1. And taking us through to full-time will be Luke Ashurst.
Yeah, cheers. Well, ball now at the feet on the left-hand side with Luke Thomas. We'll just go back into midfield for Samare. Back now to Connor Cody. Just going to step forward towards the halfway line. Nice ball forward towards Buonanotte. Quickly back to Ndidi. Ndidi then finds Samare, although he can't keep it under control. And now Forest have the ball back in midfield. Spread onto the left-hand side for Williams. And Williams is going to drive into Leicester territory. Further wide now for Gibbs-White. It's right now one-on-one with Sumare. We'll go back inside for Dominguez. Back to Williams once again. Now Dominguez, and I get the feeling that this is probably going to be the remaining 20 minutes of this game. Just Forest knocking it from side to side, just keeping a hold of the ball so Leicester can't come forward. Although Alanga has knocked it round, and Didi will swing a left-footed ball into the box. I hope for his sake it took a deflection. I really don't think it did, and that's gone out of play for a goal kick, and that's a really disappointing bit of forward play from Anthony Alanga there.
Yeah, it wasn't his greatest bit of play there, Alanga. It wasn't on his strongest foot, of course. He was trying to break down that left-hand side. He's got a wonderful turn of pace, does the Swede. And he did so well to break away from Ndidi, but couldn't wrap his foot around it. It was a really poor delivery in the end.
Yeah, it certainly was. 15 minutes ago, by the way, the League Two playoff semi-final between Chesterfield and Walsall kicked off. It's still 0-0 between those two. Just try and keep an eye on it. Of course, a big part of English football, the EFL playoffs. There's Stolarczyk just going to play the ball out to Connor Cody. Cody will move it square to Justin. Justin further down the line to El Canouse. El Canouse then plays the ball into midfield for Vardy. Vardy turns it around the corner looking for Buonanotte, and he's gone through the tackles. Buonanotte, he feeds Jamie Vardy, shuffles it onto his left, ball in behind towards McAteer's a really poor one. That's a really good opportunity for Leicester, and Vardy's really not happy with himself. I think he's got to take that on his left foot. Will you break it down for us?
I mean, I was begging Vardy to go for goal there because I want him to get that 200th goal for Leicester before he retires. It's a lovely ball by Buonanotte, just to cut it aside from Langfitch. It's such a poor touch to try and go around him. It means he doesn't have the shooting angle, and he just tries to poke it towards McAteer, but gets it all wrong. And the moment it leaves his boot, you can tell how frustrated he is. It's a really poor bit of play from their talismanic captain, and he's going to be so frustrated with himself.
Yeah, he really is. Great play from Buonanotte. Let's take nothing away from the Brighton loanee. He does brilliantly to come forward and win the ball back, not once but twice. Feeds Jamie Vardy. As we mentioned, the 38-year-old just could not quite take advantage. He's been linked with Wrexham over the last few weeks since announcing he was leaving Leicester, although he's adamant that he wants to stay in the Premier League. So that also then links to Wolves, which would be interesting, shall we say. There's a number of people, including me, that would like to see Jamie Vardy stay in the Premier League, as that's going to be a yellow card for Elliot Anderson, surely. And indeed it is. Tackle on Buonanotte. Yeah,
it's a stonewall yellow card. He's late to the party there, completely upends Buonanotte, makes an awkward landing for the Brighton loanee as well. It's looked really bright since coming onto the field of play, but it was always going to be a free kick. It's always going to be a yellow card. Poor from the former Newcastle man.
Yeah, it is. Who has been arguably one of the signings of the season, you'd say. Elliot Anderson, been really, really impressive. Bearing in mind he was brought in to balance the books for both Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. He's done a bit more than that, hasn't he? He's been absolutely fantastic in the centre of midfield. I thought at the start of the season he looked a little bit out of place, but they were using him out wide at times. Now that he's playing in that double pivot, he's the one who's always there, and the likes of Yates, Danilo, and Sangare are rotating around Elliot Anderson, I should say. Sorry. So credit to him. He's really knuckled down at Nottingham Forest. It's worked out brilliant for him. There's ball into the box to pull one from Leicester. They can get it clear to Nottingham Forest, and Wood's going to try and unleash Alanga. Good goalkeeping from Stolarczyk. He's off his line quickly and gets it cleared away from the Swedish international. And a play for a throw on the far side, and it gives a chance now for the substitution to be made. Ryan Yates is going to come on for Nottingham Forest, and he is going to replace the number 16, Nicholas Dominguez. So an interesting change, I'd assume. That means Elliot Anderson is going to be pushed further forward, and Dominguez is Yates, I should say, so he's going to play alongside Sangare.
Yeah, that's what you'd assume at least. Yates is definitely more of a holding midfielder than attacking. Anderson, you would imagine, is going to go in the middle of the attacking three midfield, moving Gibbs White over towards one of the wings, and that makes the most sense. But yeah, Yates will just shore things up in the middle of the park and make things that much more awkward for Leicester.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've noticed since Buonanotte's come on, it's become a little bit more open in midfield, hasn't it? So I think Yates is going to be there. I don't want to say to kick Buonanotte, but something tells me at some point or another, Ryan Yates is going to bring down Facundo Buonanotte and deny a counter-attack. Would be my guess. Opportunity now, though, for Forest to move the ball forward from this throwing down the right-hand side. Aina launches it down the line, looking towards Chris Wood. It's flicked on by Samari and brought down well by Cody. He'll then go back to Stolarczyk, who's got the run of James Justin. He unconventionally finds him, shall we say. That was a very nervy moment there for the goalkeeper before Justin plays nice ball forward to El Canouse. His flick on is intercepted well by Sangare, but eventually the loose ball finds Buonanotte. Ball played forward now for Luke Thomas. His pass is intercepted by Aina, but again it will find its way to Buonanotte, who's going to step forward through midfield. Plays it on to the left for McAteer. Inside now for Samare. Samare will then move it on to the right for James Justin. Justin now will try and fashion the space as he moves it on to the right for Elkanus. One-on-one with Anderson. Goes one way, then the other does the Moroccan. That's a nice play from the Leicester number 11. Ball into the box is flicked on by Morato. Not properly dealt with by Forest. There's a bit of miscommunication there between Aina and Matt Sells. Means that a goal kick has been given. There's all sorts going on. Aina thinks that Sells are going to get there. Sells should get there. I don't think Aina hears the call. I don't really know what's happened there. Either way, the referee makes the right decision. So I don't think that does take his touch off Matt Sells.
So yeah, it's hard to know if it comes off Sells last or if it comes off of McAteer, but either way it's really poor communication between Sells and Olaine. I think both are frustrated with each other, but that lapse in concentration could easily have gifted the Foxes a way back into it. They've got to be careful. There's still 40 minutes still to play.
Yeah, there certainly is. They've got to keep things tight at the back, have Nottingham Forest if they want to pick up the 3 points. A game where neither team is keeping it tight at the back is the El Clasico in Spain. Barcelona were 2-0 down. They're now 3-2 up inside 34 minutes. There have been 5 goals in 34 minutes.
Wow.
That's a goal every 7 minutes pretty much in that game. That is absolutely ridiculous. We are going to go see a change now for Leicester City. Casey McAteer is going to leave the field of play, and we're going to see 15-year-old Jeremy Monga come on. He's making a bit of a habit of making these cameo appearances, isn't he? Jeremy Monga. We're also going to see Victor Christensen come on for Luke Thomas. I think that's just to protect the fullback, given that he's on a yellow card. But we're almost seeing Christian Monga come on every single game. And I know some people are a bit like, that's not fair on a 15-year-old to have him come on in games like this where they're very much on the back foot and he can offer nothing. I'm of the opinion 15-year-olds playing Premier League football, yeah, if they're good enough, get them on the pitch.
Yeah, if you're good enough, you're old enough. That is the saying. And well, I mean, Monga is going to have that youthful desire to give you all the running and to try and make a name for himself. He'll put his body around. Yes, there'll be some naivety about his game, but the only way to get that out of him is to give him minutes so he can begin to learn. And this is the time to sort of do that, considering Leicester are already down. They don't have anything to play for.
Yep.
Well, what's another defeat going to do?
Well, exactly. These no disrespect to Leicester, but these games don't really matter. They're not going to break the points record. They're not going to stay up. At this point, you're playing for pride, and there's, if you can give a 15-year-old some minutes, I'd say that's pretty prideful, to be brutally honest. There's ball at the feet now of Vatfast, 77.5 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio-based commentary. It's Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 1. Just in case you're wondering, by the way, scores around the ground in the Premier League. It is currently Manchester United 0, West Ham United 2. And Tottenham Hotspur 0, Crystal Palace 2. I don't think it's a coincidence of the two teams in the Europa League final who very much have nothing to play for in the Premier League are both trailing by a goal to 0 at home. That doesn't necessarily surprise me. It's also 0-0, by the way, between Chesterfield and Walsall in the League 2 playoffs. We've of course got Liverpool versus Arsenal kicking off at 4:30 in the final game in the Premier League this afternoon. There's also the game between Wickham and Charlton at 6:30. That's the League 1 playoffs. There's a free kick given in the middle of the park. Buonanotte has just fouled Ibrahim Sangare, so it will be an opportunity now for Forest to keep hold of possession and just keep things ticking over from their point of view. Do we think the goal scoring's finished at this point, Will? At this point, I don't see Forest making any sort of attempt to come forward whatsoever.
I think the goal scoring might be over from a Leicester point of view. So it looks like there's a collision here between Aina and Buonanotte. They're furious at each other. Buonanotte is going to be shown a yellow card for that collision between those two. I mean, I struggle to see Leicester getting an equaliser. I could potentially see a third goal for Forest, but that's probably at the very most.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just had a yellow card given to Facundo Buonanotte, and rightly so, to be fair. He's frustrated he's just had a free kick given against him, so he's just decided, you know what, I'm going to clatter Aina after he plays the ball. Aina was not best pleased, and then Buonanotte reacted in a way he did not need to in the slightest, and Tony Harrington was already going to give him the yellow card, and if he wasn't going to give him the yellow card, he was certainly going to after the reaction of the Argentinian. 8 yellow cards. how many of these Leicester players have picked up this number of yellow cards this season? Is absolutely crazy. We saw that Oliver Skipp was on 9 yellow cards. Buonanotte is now on 8. It's ridiculous. As Inez is still, mouthing off to Buonanotte. He's really not happy about that tackle. Ola Inez. Now a chance for Gibbs White. He's going to strike from distance. He sliced that wide out of play for a goal kick.
It's quite impressive, really, the amount of yellow cards that Leicester have picked up over the course of this season. That wasn't a bad effort there by Gibbs White. It falls to him relatively kindly. You know he's going to go for goal when it bubbles up like that and hit it on the half volley. But he has to wrap his foot around it. He gets a sweet strike in terms of power, but no accuracy, always going wide of the mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he'll mind too much. He's got his goal, he's got his assist, he's almost nailed onto him. Man of the match this afternoon, isn't he? Morgan Gibbs White. Christensen trying to come down the far side for Leicester. Gets away from Anderson initially, although the former Newcastle man gets back at the Danish fullback. So he's forced to go back to Wilfred Ndidi in the middle of the park. Looking for options in front of him. Instead, we'll go back into the centre circle for Connor Cody. Now with Wout Faes. Moves it wide for Christensen once again. Ball looking for Vardy is intercepted by Ina, but it will still fall to Buonanotte. Still go Buonanotte! Oh, Leicester at back level! Oh, what a goal that is for Facundo Buonanotte, who is going to run straight over to Olan Ina to celebrate in front of him, and then to the Leicester fans. Delight for Leicester, delight for Facundo Buonanotte. This is a complete and utter disaster for Nottingham Forest.
It really is. It's the worst possible outcome. They've got to find another goal in the next 9 minutes or so. But what wonderful feat from Buonanotte. It's a wonderful layoff at first from Jamie Vardy to find him. He drives forward, a little ball roll to get away from Milenkovic, and he strikes so quickly. Sells can't set himself, and he's put it into the bottom corner. Wonderful play by the Argentine. And it's game back on 2-2.
Yeah, there's a lot of stunned faces around the City ground, but this is exactly what happens when you take the foot off of the gas. You cannot do it, and they have done this afternoon. Great play from Facundo Buonanotte. He's made Morato look average there. He's made him look distinctly average. It's great footwork though. Great play from Jamie Vardy as well. Lovely finish from Buonanotte. We mentioned Ryan Yates is going to look to try and catch Buonanotte off at some point from coming on. He didn't get across soon enough. Buonanotte was able to get his shot off and find the back of the net. What do you do now if you're Nottingham Forest? You set up to hold on to that 2-1 lead. I mean, we're seeing the response from Nuno Espirito Santo. He's bringing on Taiwo Awoniyi, but you've got to go hell to leather now, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to throw everything. You've got to throw the kitchen sink at Leicester, because you have to find this third goal. A 2-2 draw is not good enough. They have got to they really need to win every one of their final games to guarantee Champions League football. This is the worst possible result. You're at home and you need to make it count, and you need to find something from somewhere deep inside you to try and overhaul this setback.
Yeah, they certainly do. I think the change is going to be made now, and indeed it is. Sangare is going to come off, Awoniyi is going to come on. This is just get attacking players on the pitch. I'm a little bit surprised we're not seeing Jota Silva or Ramon Sosa come on as well, but suppose just get the changes on as quick as you can, and Awoniyi, I'm assuming, was ready to come on straight away.
Yeah, I think he was. At the moment the ball hit the back of the net, he would have been told just to immediately get stripped and ready, get another big body on, and I think it's going to be just long ball central now from Forest.
Yeah, they've got 7 minutes left plus any stoppage time to get themselves a winner in this one. As things stand, in case you're wondering, by the way, a draw, it's not the worst, okay? It puts them in 7th place on 62 points, 1 point behind Villa and Chelsea in 6th and 5th, respectively, and only 3 points behind Manchester City in 4th. The problem is these are the games you've got to take advantage of. We've said that Forest have got the best run-in going into the final few games because they've got West Ham and Chelsea, but also part of that run-in was the games against Brentford and Crystal Palace. They lost against Brentford and then they drew against Crystal Palace. So they need to get back into winning ways as soon as possible, and that includes today. Otherwise they're going to be in big trouble. You're seeing pictures of their owner Marinakis just praying to God that they find themselves a winner. I mean, he's relinquishing control of Nottingham Forest so that they can play in Europe next season, so that they can be in the Champions League with Olympiacos, who of course Evangelos Marinakis also owns. They might not need to worry about that come the end of the season, because they might not be in the Champions League with Olympiacos come next season if they cannot find a win in this one.
Yeah, it could be all for nothing. They need to go hell to leather here. They need to up the intensity, get a hold of the ball and pen them back. But at the moment, Leicester are keeping them inside their own half, and who knows, the Foxes could do another smash and grab.
Absolutely. Christensen born to the box, blocked by Aina, out of play for a corner on the far side. Leicester will take as much time as possible over these. They will kill as much time as they can, and the Leicester fans will love it behind that Forest goal. They'll love it even more if they can get a winner, and that would very much, I think, kill off all chances of Champions League football for Forest next season. Vardy signalling that he wants the ball. Fass and Cody have gone up as well. 5 minutes to go. All the pressure's on Forest at the minute. Leicester are just playing for, I don't want to say for fun, that's probably a bit far, but they're certainly playing for pride more than anything. As ball swung in, is the free kick going to be given inside the 6-yard box? It is. James just absolutely flattened Morato there, and Leicester are going to very, very quickly sprint back to get back into position. If you're Leicester, are you committing that many bodies forward for set pieces, or do you play for the draw at this point?
I think you play for the win. I mean, there's no point really playing for the draw, considering they've got a chance for a rare victory, particularly it's against their rivals. If you want to, well, you're going to go down already in this season. At least take something memorable back with you. A win at your rivals would be that.
Yeah, I tell you what would be memorable if Christian Munga is able to get himself a goal in this one. Gives White just given a free kick away against the 15-year-old, and it's an opportunity now for Leicester to swing the ball forward once again. El Khanou's standing over it, as is Buonanotte again. They're taking their time over these set pieces. As Forest fans around the ground are looking so nervous, but as I said, they've only got themselves to blame. Don't take your foot off the gas. Don't allow your opposition to get back into it. As Justin has just flattened Ryan Yates as he tries to move around the Forest backline. Both players back to their feet. As Yates is now tasked with the job of marking Jamie Vardy. Ball swinging to the box. It's not a bad one. Aina will get it clear. Finds Elliot Anderson. Maybe a counter-attack opportunity for Forest. If Anderson can play it forward, it takes too long to feed Elanga. Flag will stay down. Elanga latches onto the end of it. Into the penalty area. Squares it. Awaniyi's put it wide. Oh, that's a nasty collision. He's gone straight into the post. We're going to have an extended stoppage. That's why the flag's got to go up. We're going to be here for a long time. Two players are going to be in awful discomfort. That is why that rule is absolutely ridiculous. That flag, look how far Elanga is offside when that ball is played. That flag should have gone up straight away.
I completely agree. It was so obvious that it was an offside. Elanga does everything right in putting it over. Awani on the stretch, trying to put it into the back of the net, can only get a little bit of a touch to put it wide, but both he and is it Buonanotte as well that both goes into the post. It's such a heavy collision, and it's one of those that makes you sort of jolt in your seat because you know how painful that is. And this could be a lengthy stoppage, and we'd be very fortunate if both players can remain on the field.
It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous that flag does not go up straight away. That is exactly what Stolarczyk is saying to the official on the far side. That flag has to go up. When Elanga is that far offside, Elanga knew he was offside, so he waited, and he thought, you know what, I may as well get on the end of the ball to get the play going, rather than waiting for Leicester to kill as much time as possible. And in the end, we've now got Awaniyi in an absolute heat. Buonanotte is back on his feet. He looks so he's going to be okay to carry on, which is good to see. It's Jota Silva who's ready to come on for Nottingham Forest. Whether that's for Awaniyi in case he's not okay to carry on, or whether that's for somebody else, I'm not quite sure. Either way, what an avoidable injury that is now going to cost us, not just us a lot longer in added on time, but it's an awful lot of discomfort for Taiwo Awaniyi. There's an awful lot of discomfort at the minute as well for Real Madrid fans, by the way. 2-0 up thanks to Kylian Mbappe goals. They're now 4-2 down thanks to a second goal from Rafinha. Goals from Eric Garcia, Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, as I said, the difference between the two sides. Disaster for Los Blancos. I tell you what, they're having a shocking season at the minute. Walsall, by the way, have taken the lead away from home against Chesterfield in the League 2 playoff semi-finals. Allen with the penalty there. I almost feel like they should go up, Walsall, but in this, 17 points clear to throw that lead away. But also as well, if you throw a 17-point lead away, do you deserve to go up? It's hard to really tell, but they're ahead in the playoff semi-final. We're still waiting for confirmation as to who Jota Silva is coming on for, and whether Awaniyi is going to be okay to carry on. there's a lot of concern on the face of Nuno Espirito Santo at the minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of concern, because obviously he wants to bring Jota Silva on, which I think was a plan anyway prior to this collision. And now they might have to wonder if he's going to have to change formation again if one of his substitutes has got to go off. Awoniyi's back on his feet, which is great, but he is clearly not in a good way.
No, he's not at all. Whether Nuno decides that he's still going to be useful up top, where he's sat back down, he's got to come off. He's done and dusted in this game. I think you just hold up the board now and let him make it round to the other side of the pitch in his own time. I don't think they are going to make that change. I think actually Elliot Anderson is coming off. Is he? Yes, he is. Or no, maybe he's not, because now he's being told to stay on the pitch. This is a mess. I say this now before the game gets going again. The officials have had an absolute shocker in this. Now Elliot Anderson is coming off and Jota Silva's coming on. I'm a little bit, in fact not a little bit, I'm incredibly frustrated with the officials in this game. It has to be said, particularly in the last 5 minutes or so. I think they've done a really, really poor job at dealing with this situation. Jota Silva's on, and when he looks though he's going to have to carry on. Something has to change, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I initially somewhat understood the initial thought process of making sure, you know, the play continues in case it's the wrong decision, so they can maybe award more goals. But from a protecting player's point of view, it was so unnecessary when it was that obvious.
Common sense has to prevail, doesn't it? It really does. By the way, the fourth official held up a board of 8 minutes of added on time. We got started, I reckon, about 30 seconds after the board was held up, so it looks as though we are going to get those 8 minutes in mostly their entirety, as Gibbs White has done brilliantly to win the ball off of Ndidi, and he's driving forward. He's got Alanga one side of him, Wood the other side. He'll go centrally to Yates. Yates will strike from distance, complete waste. It's blocked, but it will find its way to Aina on the right-hand side. He'll let the ball roll out of play so he can have the throw-in. What's Awoniyi saying? I'm trying to work out what he's saying on this near side to work out whether he's okay to carry on or not. I think he's been told he just has to wait 30 seconds before he can come on. Nuno Espirito Santo trying to deal with his player. I don't like that from Nuno. It's not Awoniyi saying he doesn't want to carry on. He's just been rammed into the post. It's not a surprise that he's in a fair bit of discomfort. I don't like that the manager's saying, come on, show a bit of energy. He's been absolutely flattened. Either way, long throw-in comes in from Aina. It's not a bad throw-in. Leicester don't deal with it. Out of play for a corner.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully for Nuno Espirito Santo point of view, it'll come back to be beneficial, and Awoniyi can have a hand in the final goal. But if he's not able to continue, don't try and force him onto the field of play. I mean, no matter what the club is playing for and what is at stake, players' safety has got to come first.
Yeah, it certainly does. We may be seeing another change now for Leicester. It looks as though Bilal El-Khanous is jogging off to the side of the pitch, so it is going to be another change for the Foxes. Who's he coming off for? Caleb Okoli. So we said, do Leicester play for the draw, or do they play for the win? We've had our question answered. They are now very much playing for the draw.
Yeah, definitely. They're bringing on another centre-half to make it that much more awkward. He's a brutish, physical defender as well, Caleb Okoli. And yeah, I think it's now just getting that extra point, because of course they can still finish above Ipswich and get that little bit more money dropping down into the Championship. So a point could still be valuable, but considering how under the cosh they are now, it's understandable why they've now decided to revert to playing for the draw rather than go for the win.
Absolutely. Corner swung in towards the back post. It's going to find its way to Nico Williams. One-on-one with Ndidi. Will shift it onto his left. Cross into the box is deflected. Out of play for another corner. This time though on the near side. It's an interesting corner routine there from Nottingham Forest, but it worked out in the end in terms of the fact they can win themselves another corner. What can they do from this one? I believe it'll be Gibbs White to go over to take it. No, it won't be. It looks like it's Alanga who's gone over to the near side to swing the ball in. They're taking so long over this corner. Nottingham Forest, they just need to get the ball into the box. Eventually Alanga will send it in. It's not a bad corner. No, it is. Sorry, it is a bad corner. Straight into the arms of Still Archie. I think they're done here, Forest. I think the legs have gone and they're really struggling.
Yeah, they're struggling to find that clear opportunity. Nothing is going their way. And I think the atmosphere of the City Ground is beginning to get to them as well, because you can just see from the pictures that we're getting of the fans inside the ground, there's a lot of nerves, and that energy is going to be filtering onto the pitch.
Yeah, it is. They need to get behind the team. I know there's been a lot of talk recently in the media. It's not the responsibility of the fans to get the players going. It's not. but it can help. We see it time and time again. It can really help. They try to move it forward down the left-hand side. Nico Williams' ball, though, is intercepted well. It's a good play, actually, that from Monga. In fact, it's brilliant play from Monga to drive away from both Williams and Gibbs-White and keep hold of possession for the Foxes. And Ndidi, along the halfway line, will look to step forward into midfield. Plays it down the line for Justin. Back to Ndidi once again. Thought about the right-footed ball into the box. Instead, will hold on to it and then go back to Caleb Okoli. Okoli just looking for options around him. We'll go to Cody. Cody forward now to Samare. Samare around the corner finds Monga. And Monga's going to move forward. He's one-on-one with Williams. Cuts in his left foot. Monga with this strike. I tell you what, it was bending. It was travelling. But it's just wide of the post from Jeremy Monga. Great play from the 15-year-old. He's got Forest on the back foot.
Yeah, he looks dangerous when he's on the ball and driving. It wasn't a bad effort at all. Got curl on it, a good amount of power. It was just always started a bit too far outside that post. Didn't have enough curl in it to bring it back. But I think for a brief moment it had Matt Sells a little bit worried.
Certainly did. 2.5 minutes left to go with the 8 minutes added on time at the end of the 90 minutes. Forest needs to find a third goal for their hopes of Champions League football. Something's happened to Jamie Vardy, which has left him in a fair bit of discomfort. Hopefully he's going to be okay to carry on, because I believe Leicester have made all 5 of their substitutions. Indeed they have, so he's not going to be able to be brought off if he is unable to carry on. Langer now, back to Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White will float a ball to the right hand side for Ola Aina. Bring it down with his right boot, looking to try and create the space one-on-one with Buonanotte. Aina now finds Yates. Yates square to Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White strike towards goal, comfortably blocked by Samare. Now maybe the counter-attack is on. It's Monga driving forward. Plays the ball to the left for Vardy. Vardy tries to bring it down, brings it down well. One-on-one with Yates. Vardy trying to get it on his right foot. Jamie Vardy trying to find Buonanotte. It'll find Monga. Oh, it's in. No, it's not. What a save by Matt Sells. What a brilliant stop by the Belgian international. What a moment that would have been for the 15-year-old.
Yeah, just laid it off towards Mongo. Went for that far corner. It was palmed high into the air by Sells, who thought for a moment he'd palmed it in the back of his own goal, and he had to quickly go onto his feet to punch it away from the onrushing Buonanotte, inches away from a famous victory at the City Ground.
Yeah, absolutely. He will be the youngest goal scorer in Premier League history by some way as well, if he's able to find the back of the net in any of Leicester's final games. I tell you what, that's a chance, and it's a really, really good stop from Matt Sells, not once but twice. Opportunity now, though, for Leicester from the corner. What can they do from the set piece? If they can't do anything, Forest needs to get it down the other end quickly. Buonanotte, corner in. It's not a bad one. Headed away, though, well by Forest. Now they need to win the ball back. Samari, though, has it on the right-hand side, and he'll take his time rather than swing the ball into the box. He now finds Buonanotte. Buonanotte, good ball in. It's not a bad one. Oh, Christensen just misses it at the back post. It's a really good ball towards the far post, and it's just evaded the Danish fullback.
Yeah, so wicked ball in by Buonanotte. Eludes everyone, and Christensen is a matter of inches away from putting it into the back of the net. Such a fantastic delivery, and all it needed was a touch and it would have been a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunate there from Christensen. Jota Silva battling in the Leicester half to try and win the ball back for his side, but indeed he's won it, and indeed he's going to wind down the clock, and this could be crucial seconds ticking away for Nottingham Forest if they cannot win the ball back, and they can win the ball back though through Olarina, and they've got to move it forward quickly. They've got to drive, they've got to commit the bodies. Aina onto the right hand side for Yates. Yates one-on-one with Christensen. We'll go back to Aina. Aina slips at the crucial moment. That's it. That's Forest done. Now it's a question of can Leicester come forward on the counter-attack. Monga plays on to the left-hand side looking for Christensen. It's been intercepted well, and Forest have got to come forward. Gibbs-White, deep inside his own half, has got to play the pass forward. He cuts back on himself. Move the ball forward. I'm sure the Forest fans are screaming inside the City ground. It's got to go forward. They're only going side to side. Nico Williams will launch a long ball forward looking towards Aina. Christensen wins a header. Then it's won well by Buonanotte, and Buonanotte will drive forward. He lays it off to Samari, and Samari will bring it forward for Leicester. They've got bodies forward. Forest, though, have got red shirts surrounding the blue shirts. Buonanotte inside the penalty area. His back heel is a poor one. Now Forest have got to move it quickly. Yates asking for options. Just take it yourself. Move it. Wood then lays it off to Alanga. His pass is intercepted, but the full-time whistle has gone, and it looks like Champions League football has slipped away from Nottingham Forest. They've dropped points once again. This time, though, against Leicester City. their rivals in the Midlands. I mean, the opening goal was scored by Connor Cody brilliantly after the rebounded strike. Then Morgan Gibbs-White was able to equalise for Nottingham Forest before setting up Chris Wood's goal in the second half. But they took their foot off the gas, allowed Leicester to get back into it, and Buonanotte was able to equalise for the away side. What a moment that is for Leicester City. Disaster for Nottingham Forest. Full time at the City Ground finishes Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 2.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck!